Saturday morning vibes. That's
Yay,
nice.
Saturday. Oh my gosh.
Drinking matcha.
Tea. I'm not sure.
Ooh, I'm gonna have some vanilla bean tea today.
Ooh, yummy.
Good.
And this says, today is your day.
Oh.
I'm rocking the glasses and, sleep chair. So this is living authentically.
We like to be authentic up in here.
Yeah.
So we have some really good nuggets to talk about today. And I'm going to start with this incredible quote by Les Brown. And if you haven't really ever followed him or looked into his teachings, he's absolutely phenomenal. So I would suggest looking at him. So the graveyard is the richest place on earth because it is here that you will find all the hopes and dreams that were never fulfilled, the books that were never written, the songs that were never sung, the inventions that were never shared, the cures that were never discovered, all because someone was too afraid to take that first step, keep with the problem, or determined to carry out their dream. That speaks volumes, like to say that the graveyard is the richest place on earth, because people will take their dreams to the grave. They will not follow through. They will let fear hinder them so much that they didn't fully serve their purpose here in this lifetime. And that's crazy.
Oh, that is so good. I never even thought about it that way. The graveyard is the richest place on earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a story then to parlay off of that. A little backtrack if you guys don't know who I am, but I have been 2 years full-time entrepreneur now. My husband is a musician, and he loves and adores the work that flows through him. And when we got married almost 3 years ago now, we took our marriage classes. We were appeasing his parents by getting our marriage classes done in a Greek Orthodox church. I not a organized religion gal. I find my connection with meditation and journaling and higher self, but in an effort to appease, again, parents, we had our marriage classes done at this Greek Orthodox church. Now, it was a beautiful experience, so I'm not knocking on Greek Orthodox. The facilitator of the whole of our counseling, she did a phenomenal job, and she asked a question that both of us on our last day of our last class were bawling in tears. Just absolutely, it was a moment that rocked our lives. She asked us to, even talking about it makes me get like a little antsy. She gave us both a piece of paper and we sat on two different ends of the table. And she said, I want you both to write your obituary and share it with the other one.
Oh my gosh.
Because through this week of classes, or I should say 2 weeks of classes, we had talked a lot about our goals. We'd talked a lot about our dreams to one another. We had, we'd spoken to this facilitator on what we were going to do, right? Those big ideas that we have that sit waiting at surface level for us to take action on. And she said, okay, now's your chance to really declare, what is your life going to be? What's the legacy that you leave? What are you here to do?
What an amazing
what are you
thing
here to do to connect? And the second that we both put pen to paper, we were just sobbing. It was an experience unlike anything. And when we exchanged papers, you get to see the real magnitude of your life and how you coming together with another soul. It is your duty to help them build, to help them see, to help them connect, to help them bring their dreams to life. I think that through that experience, we are incredibly different people than we were when we came into it. We learned so much about how, I learned so much how a musician, someone who's been programmed to live out that part of himself here, how much he values that, how that is his legacy. So no matter what job he's in or what thing is happening in his life, I know that that is the pure essence in which he finds love and truth and value and connection for himself. And so, and the same as he saw in me. And so it's incredible, you guys. So I would highly recommend, if you say, hey honey, it's the weekend, let's sit down and let's write our obituaries, to really get out all of the things that is up here that you truly desire. Mm-hmm. And what we're going to talk about today, the three of us, are the things that happen on the road that knock you off the path to achieving what you truly want in your obituary. Because we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And we're walking around in our little bodies and we're figuring it out. And I believe this, that we all know that there's what we desire. We know that there's something that is pulling us. We know that there's something that we're being guided to do. Just like Sara said with going to, what do you want? What are you taking with you into your casket? Like, what did you not release in this lifetime? So I didn't realize I was going to tell that story today, but that made so much sense off of the quote.
Story. Oh,
that was really good.
Yeah. What a beautiful idea. I think you should do that in a marriage, but do that in any big partnership.
Absolutely.
That's something that the three of us could do.
We should. We'll do that when you guys are here.
Yeah.
By the way, you guys, these crazy ladies are coming up to the tundra of Minnesota. They're flying in over probably the busiest weekend that will ever happen here.
With the lowest temperatures, but go big or go home. So
coming in for Super Bowl weekend. So you can imagine the amount of live casts that we will be doing, and we'll be rocking our Instagram stories, and we got a lot planned, but
we're super excited.
So let's talk a little bit about listening. No, like when you get an idea as an entrepreneur, when you get the nudge, when you can see your business, like you can really see it, feel it, like smell it, taste it, touch it, whatever that looks like. But when someone comes along and they instill fear in you, let's talk about that for a second. And maybe, share your stories too about how this has happened.
And also I would like to ask a question too. For everybody that's on right now, and then even on after the replay, is how many times have you had an idea for a business and you were so gung-ho about it and you were super, super, super excited and you had all of this passion and purpose. You're like, fuck yes, like this is what I'm going to do. I know it's going to happen. And then you tell somebody about it and they shit on your fucking dreams. How many times has that happened to people on here, or the people on replay? I know that's happened to me many, many times. I'm sure this happened to Sara and Shauna and the many people in here. But then you use that and you're like, oh, they're right. Oh,
I think that should have been the title of this video. Don't let people shit on your dreams.
How many times has that happened? When you think about that over globally, and all of these ideas, that come up and people don't do them because other people's fears are projected onto you, and then you start believing that, and then you don't ever move forward, and you're fucking miserable because you didn't.
And so I feel like when people mirror that fear to you, when people are like so fearful that they're projecting that onto you, and they're like, oh my God, like you're going to waste your life away. That's ridiculous. Whatever they say to try to burst your bubble. People are always mirroring us, right? So when they are mirroring those fears back to you, maybe those are some things that are sitting like down low, but it's not something that you have to own. It's just a fear that you can work through so that you can push and live into your purpose. So there's different ways to see it. And it's not that they want you to fail. It's that A, they're mirroring maybe some fears that you have of your own that you can work through, that you can push through. And B, you're providing this contrast for something that their soul is craving. So, I had a lot of people that I worked with in the hospital. Some were very supportive whenever I kept trying to venture out to get out of the hospital. And some would really project their fears about it, but they were dying to get out too. They didn't want to be there. They have bigger dreams too, but it was easier for them to kind of, crazy cat. It was easier for them to kind of bash my dreams and burst my bubble versus saying, yeah, I want to come with you, or yeah, let's do, or yeah, like being super supportive and excited, because they had their own fears in place for the exact same thing. So you cannot let other people's fears, opinions, and ideas completely alter what you are here to do. That's crazy. That's insane.
Yes. Rebecca and Janelle both have said yes. They're both agreeing with what we're saying here. You guys, hopefully you guys have all read this book, but if you haven't, it's a great one to add to, your bedside table. But Big Magic, where she talks a lot about when people when they dump shit on you, when they're saying, okay, sure, you could do it, but here's 15 reasons why you're going to fail. Mm-hmm. And one of those 15 reasons, you sit and you dwell and you go, okay, well, I'm not going to do it because if I do, I might just experience that. And because of that fear, I'm just going to sit here and resist. I'm going to be afraid. She says, look at the shit that people give you, bundle it up into a shit sandwich, and eat that fucking shit sandwich. Literally eat the shit sandwich, because
sandwich. That's a great hashtag.
So good.
We're coming up with a lot of good titles and hashtags.
Yeah. Well, yours is really good too about bubble poppers.
Don't be a bubble popper.
Fucking bubble poppers.
So if even going into that visualization of like, okay, you just gave me so much shit. Let me just take it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take this and I'm going to digest it and, move through my own mirror, like what Sara was saying, move through my own mirror of it. And honestly, like I can remember back when I was in corporate America, the secretary that was there, her and I were like oil and water. For some reason, how you find people in life, they just don't quite click, and it was probably one of my biggest lessons in corporate America, because you'd sit and have water cooler talk with an individual, and you'd talk about your blog that just went out, or I would talk about my blog that just went out, or things that I was working on, my side hustle during the time when I was working in multi-level marketing. If you gals are in multi-level marketing and you know what it's like to have a full-time job and a side hustle at the same time, and maybe kids in the process, and a husband, and you, and all of it.
You're just like, holy shit, how do I do all of this at once?
Yeah. And, really, really trying to find a connection with her about anything, about life. And every single time that there'd be like this little nudge, or how do I explain, an opportunity for growth, she would always instill the fear in the conversation. Mm-hmm. Well, you're never going to, what do you think? You're going to, be a millionaire in creating your own business? What do you think? You're, going to be able to work from home? Well, what do you think? And it was just like, but deep down how much she desired that for herself, mm-hmm. how much she desired to take her own ideas and her own business and make it go online with it, learn how to use social media, those types of things. Mm-hmm. So know that when you're getting that from people, it's simply their fear. It's their fear bouncing back.
And because it's like you said, Shauna, it's a deep desire that they really want, but they've placed all of these fears on themselves that they can't see past that. And so mm-hmm. of course they're going to project that onto you, because they don't want you to be, honestly, it comes from a place of fear, but also comparison on their side. But also they don't want you to be successful, because then you get to prove them wrong. Mm-hmm. Prove them wrong that their fears are not valid.
Yeah.
Right? People want that validation.
Validity.
There we go. Thank you.
Or validation, yeah.
Validation. I'm like, is that even a word? I don't even know. Oh, my mom's on. Good morning, Mommy.
Oh, Rosemary's mom.
Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy how much people have a lot of how they like project their fears onto you, and how so many of us really take that on as like our own. And then it's like, then can we talk about authenticity too? Because then that puts us in a place where we're not living authentically, and then we get it off alignment, and then it just compiles, and it's like a domino effect. And then, you know, like I said, you're so miserable because you're not living what you're supposed to be doing. You're not living your purpose. And I truly, honestly, truly believe that every single person has a purpose and a mission that you're supposed to accomplish. And so if you have these goals and like these dreams that come up, they're there for a reason, you know? And so, yeah, I don't know what I was going with that.
And when you feel stuck on it, it's looking back at so much can be shown to you as a child, you know, like what are the things you loved doing as a kid? What were the things that lit you up, you know? I mean, I look at my husband and he like singing, all the performing, you know, and it's like, that's exactly, you came here with it before all the doubt and the fear and suppression from everyone else came in. You were living it, you were embodying it. And so when you get stuck thinking, well, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? Think back to childhood. What made you excited when you were a child? What were you doing? You know, what were you, you know, were you the comedian of the family and you were making everyone laugh all the time? Were you the artist, you know, pen to paper, or I should say like paint to paper or something, you know?
Yeah, that's my husband. He was the artist and he's gotten so far away from that, but that's his connection. You know, and now he's finally like realizing like, oh, maybe I need to bring that, because it's such a huge part of who he is, and he's like shut it down for so long, and now he's
people shut it down when they realize they have to do their 9-to-5 job, and then that seems to take up so much of their energy that there's no energy left for like the really passionate stuff, which is where if you dived fully into the passionate stuff, made that your full-time thing, then you would flourish and you'd be supported and it would be so good. And I love what you talked about, Rosemary, about being authentic. Like the more you speak authentically in your everyday life, the more the people that are the naysayers, they're going to start to dissolve. Like I have maybe like 1% naysayers left in my life. Like there's nobody like that is questioning what I'm doing or trying to shut it down or trying to put the fear in there. Like everywhere I go, it's like 110% like support, like, hell yeah, go do it. Like you're doing amazing. And so the more you step into that authentic role and you don't let those fears sit with you and you move through it. And when people do come with those fearful thoughts and they're like, well, what if this? And well, what's going to happen if this? Like Shauna was saying, well, do you really think you're going to be a freaking millionaire doing this? And be like, well, yeah, why not? Like, why not? Why couldn't I be? Yeah. Like, be super authentic. And we're even talking about like, in our conversations when we have like random people like reaching out to try to get us to join groups and stuff, like I'm going to start stepping up more authentically. And Shauna talked about this yesterday. Just say, oh yeah, I was just consulting with my spirit guides and I was just finishing a deep root meditation. Like say what you're really doing. Don't have these basic conversations about the weather and about like people just, you know, just like start being more authentic and raw in your conversations every single day. And then the right people are going to show up. And that's what you need.
I really love that you made that point, because honestly now I don't have anybody that shits on my dreams anymore, because
no, they're not there.
Yeah, I've stepped up authentically. I speak my truth. I've created boundaries in my life for the people that didn't believe and thought and tried to, you know, we know, like I had an incident with a really good friend, you know, almost like what, eight months ago. And that was completely severed because I was just like so far away from that fear-based whatever. And I don't have anybody like that in my life anymore. I just don't. I mean, I'm surrounded by, and I know all three of us. And yeah, you know, we have our own, we're not saying that we don't have our own fears that come up, but we handle them in such a different way now than we did previously. And we work through it together and we communicate about them together. And it's such a, you know, like it's a different mindset, you know?
Instead of letting it shut you down, we're more like, why is this here? What is being presented to me?
That's so beautiful. Well, we should give a quick shout out to the people that are commenting right now. So, Rebecca, hey Emily, she said, "Good morning, goddesses." Back at you.
Hello,
Jessica, Amy, Sarah. You guys, let us know if you have questions too. We're really digging in deep this morning, where I hope you are either tuning in with a cup of coffee or tea or maybe some matcha latte. or some mushroom coffee. If you guys have not tried mushroom coffee, it is the bee's knees. If you get jittery, get a little bit of that anxious anxiety that comes with the caffeine of coffee, you would love mushroom coffee. So go check it out by FOUR Sigmatic. You can find it on Amazon or their website. Anywho, so let's talk about comparison for a second. As an entrepreneur, you know, we talk about this a lot, that entrepreneurship plus social media is like the wild, wild west. Everyone is creating these, how do I want to explain it? Like, they're creating the new frontier of what social media is. Everyone is creating and trailblazing their own way of doing this. What we've seen a lot is, like what we've talked about yesterday, is man mode setting into the feminine beings, but that's saved for another video, another day. But let's talk about comparison. So
comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
I don't know whose quote that is, but it's really good.
Yeah.
But really think about that for a second. As you're scrolling through social media, you know, in one hand, and let's say the other hand is your big idea. The big idea that maybe you spilled out into your own obituary purge process. You're sitting there, you're babying it, you're nurturing it, you're coddling it, you're like protecting it, and you start to scroll through social media. How does it feel when you land on someone that has a similar idea to what you are currently babying?
And maybe they're 2 years ahead of maybe they're 2 years farther on their path than you. So maybe it's somebody that already has like a similar idea. They've already been building on it a bit. You just had this beautiful idea, but you're going to have your own spin on it, of course. And you're like, oh, this is already taken. Oh, they already have success. Oh, everybody's going to go like their way. Like you instantly go into comparison mode versus saying, okay, that's my validation that it's a badass idea. I'm going to make it more my own. I'm going to kind of shut them down, like not shut them down, but not watch what they're doing, and just know like that's the universe validating, yes, this is a beautiful idea. Yes, this is needed. There are billions of people in the world. So the couple thousand that is with this person, that doesn't affect me. Like there's room for everybody to grow and to flourish. And
yeah, I love that, because remember Emma Milden on our gathering call, she talked about that, about writing books and how, you know, sometimes, you know, somebody might have the same idea of you, but the way that they write it and the way they say it is going to resonate with this person more than, you know, than her book resonating with this person. So it doesn't matter if there's multiple people kind of doing similar things. You're going to reach the audience that needs to hear your voice versus hearing the other person. So it's, you know, you have to understand, like, there's billions of people in this world. You know, there's plenty room for us all to be able.
And honestly, there's no new ideas. There's no new ideas. Every idea has been like thought over, like, you know, the lifetimes that we've all had. So it's not that you're coming up with new ideas. It's that you are facilitating in a way that is going to reach specific people that need it in their life at this time. And they won't be able to be drawn to, you know, whoever over here is making it in a different way. They're not going to feel that connection in the same way. So you still have to step into your purpose and not watch what, you know, Susie's doing next door, because it's just doing yourself a disservice, but you're not healing everybody as a collective like you're meant to do. And I know we keep coming back to that, but it's true. Heal yourself because you're healing others, and then step into your purpose because you're healing others. And that's what you're here to do.
And should we talk about kind of the steps that we've done too? You know, Shauna, especially, I know you started off the year doing some steps as far as us trying to get away from that comparison mode, because you guys were too. And, you know, we were doing it as well, and it wasn't serving us. So we took some steps, I think, collectively to move forward, you know, to move away from that comparison mode.
Well, I think at any time that we start really glomming on to a guru is when we are, this sounds so bizarre, but this is exactly what comes to mind. We are like a baby sucking the tit of the person who is giving the energy, because we are like, gimme, 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 gimme. I have to get my hit, right? Feed me your energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where, like Rosemary said, beginning of the year, we needed to cut off a lot of our baby tendencies of reaching and looking at other people and saying, no, we got this. we're doing this the way that we see fit. We see that, you know, in order to connect. I mean, you guys, you look at the community, there's 100 people waiting to come in today to the Rising She Tribe.
Yeah.
That is an energetic shift that we had to create within the three of us to stop going for the boob.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, honestly, like in the universe, like, it will validate you when you're going in the right direction. And when we were tapping into other people's groups and promoting ourselves in other people's groups versus just showing up authentically what we needed to do here, it was always like, okay, well, we got to promote ourselves somewhere so that we can grow our tribe and bring all these beautiful women into our space. And instead now it's like they're knocking on the door and they're waiting to come in because we shifted. We stopped looking over in these other groups to see what other people were doing, because when we did that and we're like, oh, maybe we should be doing this because she's doing this and she's having success here. When we even started to make the plans to shift what we originally thought to gear it more towards what we thought we should be doing, then there was like a halt, like there was like a block and things weren't moving and things started to kind of dissipate. And then when we go back and look and we're like, no, we know what we're doing. We're going to do authentically what's right for us and our vibration. We let go of whatever so-and-so is doing and we brought it back to what felt good for us. And then things started to flow again. So you'll see like the ebb and flow, and you'll see the validation of the people coming in. And I mean, it's a huge difference. So you know when you're on the right path and when you're not on the right path. You just have to pay attention.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know what I was going to say. It totally left my mind. Maybe it wasn't meant to come up then. So when you think of it this way, when you're seeking the energy of your guru or the influencers in your life or whatever business realm that you're in as an entrepreneur, that when you're feeding off of their energy, you're creating almost like this addictive personality, because whether you know it or not, you're tapping into their energy. You're tapping into what they're giving off. So you're going to sound like them, talk like them. It's going to come off in your emails. It's going to come off on your posts. It's going to come off in your pictures. And so in that space of feeling the inauthentic version of yourself, the people aren't going to connect with you the way that you want them to as an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So, for example, go into your inbox today. If it's us, if you guys need a detox from us, go detox. Like, go, it's okay. Like, we'll still be here. We're going to keep moving this train. Like,
yeah.
But if it's
I ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, if you love what we, if you come in and you get nuggets for yourself, hey, that's great. But think of that guru that you've been following for years. Think of years, I mean, I can remember back to when I was in a multi-level marketing company, Beachbody. I would sit and follow 3 people every day. I knew exactly what they were doing, their vibe, what the energy that they gave off. And it was like a social media hit. It was like the inspiration that I needed from this other person. And trying to build a business while you're looking externally at other people, you start to sound and feel and talk like them, So when you notice yourself getting into that, just take a second and detox. Bring it back to you. Bring it back to journaling, meditation. Like what Sara said, we've had many times where we've written out pages of content because we've looked at other people and we've been like, oh, they've had success. And we have to go back and spend more time to revamp because it didn't feel good. The energy coming out didn't feel good. Yes. So
it wasn't lined up with who we were serving, because who they serve is not the same as who we serve. And keep that in mind. Like, just because they're doing something that's similar to what you are wanting to do, they're still serving a different vibe, a different person. So, yeah.
So just want to talk a little bit about protection mode, right? That we get from other people around us, so just kind of like when I asked earlier, like how many of you have had an idea of a business and then they're just kind of like, what? And they project all these fears on you. But what about when you start moving into this space and you're moving into this space of, building your business, and then they start coming in and maybe they are supporting you, but then they start going into these like protection modes of like, well, what about XYZ? What about this? Like, what about that? What if this happens? Blah, blah, blah. and they're trying to protect you because they don't want you to fail. They don't want you to, not be successful, which just makes it a failure. So, but
it's like they need to like be able to let go of the control. I mean, that kind of honestly brings me back to a really big part of this quantum rise for myself, and it's letting go of control in my marriage, with the fact that it's not my place to control where my husband is at on his path. It's not my place to control how fast his personal growth is. It's not my place. It's my place to hold space for him and to be here and to just keep showing up authentically as I need to. And people will feel, when you let go of that control, they can feel it on the other end. You know what I mean? So it's like, if people are coming in and they're trying to feel like they're protecting you, because I always felt like I was protecting him. I'm like, well, if you do this, like this might happen, and I'm going to protect you from, like, ruining things for your life or whatever. What the hell? That's not my place. Like, if he needs to fall flat on his ass, that's his path. That's what he's supposed to do, and it's not my place to interject. So people are coming in, whether it's your spouse or maybe your parent or your sibling or even your very best friend who you have always had support from for your entire life, but they want to protect your feelings. They don't want you to get hurt. They don't want you to get your dreams built up so high and then come crashing down. You can't let them protect you in that way, because it's your path. You go to that person and you say, let me fall on my ass. Let me fall flat on my face. Let me build my dreams up sky high. And if it falls to pieces, well, good. I have more material to build them back up with again. Like, just to let them, let people go in that way. Sever that connection, cord cutting, and let go of control.
Yeah. Janine said, allow others to inspire you, but don't look to them to your success. That's really awesome. Melissa says, it's so resonating with me this morning. It's something I find myself struggling with. We get that 100%. Emily says, God, I get that. Don't we all? The controlling, I get it. Sarah, you're so sweet. She said, your collective energy of bringing your own messages to the world is one of the most refreshing and interesting thing about your group. So thank you, Sarah, so much. That touches my heart. I love that. So, I mean, I get that. I mean, I didn't realize, like, one of the biggest parts of my journey was letting go as well, letting go of the control and control over myself and the outcome of things, right? I'm trying to protect myself, right? Because I don't want to fail. But I don't believe that failure is necessarily a bad thing, you guys. Like, because
it's never failure. Like, that shouldn't even be a word. It shouldn't even be an existent word.
I mean, because we know our business isn't going to fail, but we've had failures, quote unquote, of things that have happened. But we needed those things to happen so we could learn the things that we needed to learn to project us in the direction we needed to go. So when I have people that are trying to protect me, right, from failing, or they have this fear that if it's it's not going to work out, I've really had to stand my ground and have those boundaries around myself. So I'm not allowing those fears to be projected on me, even though I know that they're trying to protect me. And so I think a lot of it comes from, the past, present, future mindset, right? So people, they look at the past and are like, well, and that's where, like, fear lies. Like, I mean, Shauna, you could riff on this, because I think, you talked about the book that you're reading and how it talks about, like, the past, present, future, and kind of what that looks like in time and all of that. So I think you should riff on that, because you said it, like, really, really awesome.
Well, and I think of, this really funny little thing came to mind. Think back in junior high when you had your first crush, right? And you were sort of falling in love with this person. You're getting all of the butterflies in your belly, and maybe maybe your experience is the same as mine, and you went for the bad boy in junior high, and he was a little rebellious. He was caught with a cigarette one time, and your mom is like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're going down the rabbit hole.
I married him. Go ahead.
And you're just, why are you picking this type of person? And it's like your parents' first glimpse at, like, what their daughter might be interested in, and then you get caught kissing him on your front porch. And you know what? And you know what? In that process of my mother trying to stop everything, right? Don't date the bad boy. Oh my God, don't date the bad boy. Made me want to date the bad boy for a long time.
Fuck yeah.
And I dated the bad boy for a long time, multiple bad boys, because they were the fire that I was looking for, right? They were going to make my mom pay attention to me, and life was going to be so great, and we were just going to live on the edge, right? So imagine if my mom, and you guys go to your stories on this as I say this, but imagine if you were severed off from that lesson. Imagine if you weren't able to experience those lessons, those mega crying in your pillow because your bad boyfriend, whatever, like cheated on you, but you made the decision to be with him again. You know, all of those like heart-wrenching things that you have to go through in the dating experience. Dating and entrepreneurship are the same thing.
Fuck yeah. We talk about this all the time. I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
Us three is like a marriage, and we go back all the time because it is like that. It's a building.
If you think a marriage with two people is tricky,
three, you guys.
We got this down.
Tripod over here.
We're the tripod.
I know.
We're the triangle.
Yes. But and I can totally speak to this. So okay, I don't even know if my mom's still on this, but a lot of people did not want Preston and I to get married, and they didn't think that we were going to work. Okay. Because I was a wild woman, right? I was the stallion, the horse, the wild horse, and he had to tame me, quote unquote, right? Like this is what he always says. Because I was a wild woman, you guys. I really was. I was a fucking spitfire. I was a free spirit. I didn't, I very much lived outside the box. Like, and at the time when I met him, I was very like anti, like, I don't want to be with anybody because I came off of a lot of fucking shitty relationships, you guys. Mm-hmm. Like I get, the whole thing. And I broke up with him twice before we got married. Okay. We even broke up one of the engagements, and then we got re-engaged, and everybody was like, they're not going to work. They're, like, she's going to break up with him or blah, 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 blah. And you guys, we've been together for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It was the fuel. That was the fuel for both of us to prove people wrong that no, like just because we've had, these lessons and these things happen, that doesn't mean that we can't make it work. And, we've been through a lot of fucking shit, layoffs, we had 2 babies in 4 years while my husband was going to school, college and marriage. Like we got married and had 2 babies in the last 3 years of his college and the university. Talk about fucking craziness. And I was going to college too, and I was working and I was doing clinicals all at the same time. And then we moved to, to Iowa, which was fucking miserable. And we lived in the tundra of Iowa, which is different than Minneapolis because at least there's shit to do. Okay. Like we were in the middle literally of Iowa in this small ass town where it's like nothing.
Cornfield.
Yeah. Complete cornfields and pigs shit and cows and
Sorry for any one of you that are from
Iowa. Oh yeah, I'm sure I was.
My very best friend, and she's like my sister, Alicia. She lives there. I love her, but she knows she lived there. So. But we went through a lot of stuff, you guys. A lot of up and downs. Almost getting divorced. Like, guys, I get it. But that's what a fucking entrepreneur, like, that's what a business is like too. Mm-hmm. So look at your relationships around you and look at those and then compare it with the business. It's the same fucking thing, Mm-hmm. Like, it's the same thing.
And when it comes to letting go of control, the biggest thing that has kept me going is keeping in this mindful place. I can always go back to the way I was doing it before. I'm in this 30-day journey, so let me do it fully, commit to it, and I can always go back to the same shit I was doing before because I know the results from that because I did it for years and years and years. So I know what I can get from doing what I've done, but doing something different, even for 30 days and watching the shift. And so when you get in that place where you're about to go into that same pattern, that same controlling thing that you are used to doing, getting the same result you've always gotten, which usually sucks, just say, you know what? It's just 30 days. I'm going to let that shit go right now because it's only 30 days. I'm going to see what happens. You will feel this big release and you'll start to see the big changes from the people on the other side when you let go of that control, and you'll start to see more of the flow in your own life and your own pattern because you can always go back to the same bullshit you've done, but do something different. And I've also just used this very strong practice, this mantra of saying, reflect and release. If I'm getting worked up about something and I want to go into control mode, I shut it down and I'm saying, okay, reflect. Why do I feel like I need to have control over that? And maybe I don't know in that moment, but I'm going to release it because it's not serving me. And then move on, distract yourself, do something, different. And so I'm talking about my marriage, but do that in your business too. Like if you feel like you have to control and push and manipulate what's about to come instead of letting it flow, because the universe has way more things it can bring to you than you can fathom in your mind right now. You have these big dreams and your visions might be huge, but the universe has even bigger ones. And if you are trying to control, then you're pinching yourself off and you're not allowing it all to come in and flourish the way that it could.
Yeah. So I got to head out here soon for basketball.
Oh, yeah.
I really wanted to talk about how the past, present, future.
Awesome.
Really
okay, so I'm going to say two things. Last thing is recognize when you outgrow your gurus.
Yeah.
Recently, we've been reflecting on this and we've been able to say, oh my gosh, I used to idolize this person, but now I embody that part of myself that I love, cherish, and enjoy, and that I have built to become, right? And I am. Mantras, I am. And so notice when you outgrow your guru. We love Gabby Bernstein, but we feel like we are our own Gabby Bernsteins, right? So anyways, last thing, and we're going to cap this off for you guys and wish you well on this weekend. Have a lot of fun on your Saturday and Sunday. But we want you to recognize that when you feel fear, your mindset is in the past. When you feel fear, your mindset is in the past. So when you're sitting and you're working with your business and you're fearing, you're in the past. You're dating the bad boyfriend, right? You're having that same scenario. You're sitting and dwelling in the fear of the past. When you're in anxiety, you're sitting in the future. What if, oh my God, I'm listening to everyone else around me. They're projecting all of their views on top of me. And you're sitting in fear. You're sitting in the future. Mm-hmm. Where is the sweet spot? In the now. Yeah. Staying in the now, staying in this moment right now as you slowly sip your coffee, as you listen to us across the social media airwaves, you're in the now. Mm-hmm. So the feeling of the now is the true connection, is where you can be calm. There's storm on both sides, and neither one of them matter, because time as we know it isn't linear, right? When we sit in the now, that is like the eye of the hurricane, right?
That's where the peace is at. That's where it's like total peace, and you'll feel it. When you get in it, you'll feel it. You'll be like, oh, the ease, and it's so good.
So date your bank account, date your business, date yourself, date your spouse, date your kids, date your everything. Like love, appreciate in the now, and more of that, because you're sending that energy out, will come right back to you. Mm-hmm. So you guys, we're going to cap this off today, but we want to say that we are the storm coming together. Next week, Rosemary, Sara are flying in on Wednesday, and you might have been feeling this brewing on our end, but we have an epic 2-hour intensive that we are going to be doing on Friday. If you're interested in this, we can send you a link to it. We can let you guys know about what's going to be happening, but we have a radical afternoon that is going to be happening on 2/2. What a magical number.
Is it? I didn't even put that together.
Yep. Awesome. On 2/2 at 2:00 in the afternoon on Friday. So if you're interested in getting more information, please reach out to us. We know that if it calls to you, we can send you back some love and see if it's a good fit. So thank you for joining us this morning. Cheers to your weekend.
Cheers. Today is your day.
Don't let the bubble poppers come in.
Yeah.
We're going to pop in tomorrow morning again around 10 a.m. Central to go a little bit deeper into what we've been talking about this week too. So if you're interested in joining us Sunday morning around 10 a.m., we will be back in here. Cool.
All right. Awesome.
Peace out, everybody. Love you all. See ya.
Bye.